The wait is finally over, and I can't believe it. Apple has just sent out the event invites, and there is going to be an Apple event on October 18th, a Monday of all days, at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where Apple will live stream this event. And this event is called Unleash. So I think we got a pretty good clue here that this is going to be the event where we see the hotly anticipated next generation of Apple Silicon Macs with the 14 and 16-inch M1X MacBook Pro, and possibly a few other surprises. Hey, what's going on everyone? Greg here, and it's hard to believe we are just 1 week away from what could end up being one of the most important Apple events of this year, with Apple rumored to show off a new era of Apple Silicon with their first Pro processor, the M1X chip, and the first redesign to the MacBook Pro since 2016. And we're going to cover that all in today's video. But first, if you aren't subscribed yet, help me get over that 200 subscriber wall, because we are just 4,000 subscribers away from hitting 200,000. And I'm sure there's going to be at least 4,000 people watching this video that aren't subscribed to the channel yet. So if you aren't subscribed already, get subscribed so you can be part of this milestone, and especially if you want more coverage on this Apple October event and a review of all of these rumored upcoming products. So get subscribed and we'll get into all of that. But all right, enough of that, because I know the real reason you're here is to hear all about what you should expect for Apple's October event, and luckily, we have a pretty good idea on what we're going to see here. Because the first rumored product we are expecting at this event is the new MacBook Pro. This will be an update to the higher-end version of the 13 and 16-inch MacBook Pro, with the 13-inch model shrinking the bezels around the display to fit in a bigger 14-inch display in a physical footprint that should still be similar to the 13-inch size we have already. The 16-inch MacBook Pro, on the other hand, is rumored to keep that same 16-inch display size, but it's possible that we could see a more uniform bezel around the display compared to the current design that we have now. And one of the bigger upgrades that is rumored to be coming to these next MacBook Pros isn't just the bigger display size on the smaller model, but also improved displays in more ways than one. So Apple will be upgrading both MacBook Pro models to use mini LED displays. These mini LED displays should offer the same visual quality that we recently got on the M1 iPad Pros, so we should see specifications like 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio for deeper black levels, and up to 1600 nits of peak brightness for viewing, and perhaps more importantly, editing HDR content. This feature alone would be a huge boost to content creators who want a MacBook that will be good enough to use as a reference monitor for their own HDR footage. And I'm personally excited for that feature. As someone who doesn't yet have an external HDR monitor, I can't properly edit HDR video right now on my Mac, and if these MacBook Pros come with an HDR-capable display, I think that would be a big push into speeding up adoption of HDR content for smaller creators right now, where there are just too many barriers. So I'm really excited for this feature, actually. Besides just the better display quality with these mini LED panels, there's also rumors we may be getting a resolution bump, with a recent leak in the macOS Monterey beta showing a resolution of 3024 by 1964 for the 14-inch model and 3456 by 2234 for the 16-inch model, which could increase the pixel density of these displays from 227 pixels per inch to around 257 pixels per inch, and that could also mean native 2x scaling for these displays, which should result in a sharper display overall. Now, going back to the design, although we expect a reduction in bezels, it is also possible that the outer shell of the MacBook Pro may feature a slight redesign, with some rumors saying that these MacBook Pros would feature a flatter design, but after the Apple Watch Series 7 rumors of a flatter design that never really turned out, maybe we can take this flatter MacBook Pro redesign with a bit of a grain of salt. However, one of the leaks that is impossible to ignore is that the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro will be receiving an expanded port array compared to the previous models, and Apple is rumored to be bringing back ports it got rid of from the 2015 MacBook Pro. Ports like the beloved MagSafe charging port, the SD card slot for importing photos and videos, and an HDMI port for hooking up to monitors, televisions, and so on. Of course, this MacBook Pro will still come with a good amount of Thunderbolt USB 4 ports, with the latest rumors saying that Apple will have 3 of these ports available on the new MacBook Pros. Also, after seeing the M1 iMac design, I personally think that we will see a redesigned power brick with an Ethernet port built right into it because of Apple's ability to transfer power and data through their MagSafe magnetic connection. So I think we'll probably see that on the MacBook Pro. It would be great to get Ethernet in the power brick and, it would be a cool feature. Another design change will be the removal of the touch bar from these new M1X MacBook Pros, with rumors widely suggesting that Apple will just return to the regular row of physical function keys. However, Touch ID will still be on these MacBook Pros just like they are on the MacBook Air, and right now there are no rumors of Face ID coming to this next generation MacBook Pro. There is also strong rumors that Apple will finally be listening to user and critic feedback and removing the lackluster 720p webcams on this MacBook Pro for an upgraded 1080p webcam, which will hopefully be similar quality to the one found on the M1 iMac. That would be a nice big jump in the video quality on the webcam. Perhaps the biggest addition to this Mac, and this could be the headline of the event, is the brand new M1X chip. The M1X chip is going to be a big jump up in multi-core performance from the M1 chip, with Apple doubling the high performance cores from 4 to 8 and decreasing the efficiency cores from 4 to 2. Overall, this will result in a 10-core processor, with most of the heavy lifting being done by those 8 performance cores, which should lead to a dramatic increase in multi-core performance, which will be important for higher-end programs like video editing programs, for development, music production, and so on. So the M1X isn't only going to be more powerful in multi-core performance, it's also going to be getting a perhaps bigger jump in GPU performance, with current rumors suggesting that Apple could be giving us 2 different GPU options. The first would be a design with double the GPU cores from the M1 chip, going from an 8-core GPU all the way up to a 16-core GPU design. Or another rumor suggests that there could be the possibility of an optional upgraded M1X chip that could have as much as 32 dedicated GPU cores, although this isn't 100% certain if this option will be available for the final release or be limited to the bigger 16-inch MacBook Pro. Either way, both of these GPU options should lead to big increases over the GPU in the M1 chip, with even the 16-core GPU design rivaling previous dedicated GPU options that were only available in the 16-inch MacBook Pro. These M1X MacBook Pro should also be configurable with even more memory, with options for at least up to 32 gigabytes of unified memory, double that of the current M1 chip, and increased storage options that should match what Intel offers now, with up to 8 terabytes of storage on these next MacBook Pros. As for pricing predictions, well, after being dead on with my price predictions for the iPhone 13 lineup, including keeping the iPhone 12 in the lineup, and the price of the iPad mini, I'm kind of scared right now on the price predictions for the new M1X MacBook Pros. I was accurate before. I kind of hope I'm not accurate now, because the current 13-inch model starts at $1,799, and with the state of chip shortages and costly components like a mini LED display, I really wouldn't be shocked to see a $2,000 starting price for the 14-inch model and a $2,500 price for the 16-inch model. It just seems like at this point, with the price being so close to $1,799 and the $100 increase we got for mini LED on the iPad Pro, it doesn't seem that far out that Apple would increase the prices on these MacBook Pros, and I think a lot of people are going to be upset about that. Okay, now while most rumors and speculation is on the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro at this event, I don't think it will be the only product at the October event, and I fully expect to see Apple release alongside these new MacBook Pros, or at least announce it, a new Mac Mini model. Earlier this year, we heard some rumors from John Prosser about a redesign for the Mac Mini with a plexiglass top and maybe a two-tone color finish, and we received fresh reporting not too long ago from Mark Gurman saying that the M1X Mac Mini would be released shortly after the MacBook Pro. That indicates to me that the M1X Mac Mini will be at this event, and it will just be an option for people who prefer to use a desktop computer, not a laptop. As for what to expect for this M1X Mac Mini, well, it's pretty simple. We really should get a form factor that's already pretty similar to the current Mac Mini. with the possibility of that slight redesign that John Prosser mentioned. The M1X chip should be exactly the same as the ones going into the 14 or 16-inch MacBook Pro, with maybe the option for that higher-end 32-core GPU option, but probably being just limited to the 16-core. But of course, the main focus of this new Mac Mini will be the expanded port selection to replace that Intel model that's sitting in the lineup right now. So we should see 4 Thunderbolt USB 4 ports, 2 USB ports, an HDMI port, an Ethernet port, and from my point of view, sticking an M1X chip into a Mac Mini type enclosure should be pretty straightforward as an engineering task for Apple. So I would expect the M1X Mac Mini at this event, and I think this would mimic the initial rollout strategy of the M1 computers, where Apple introduced 2 laptops, the MacBook Air and the entry-level MacBook Pro, and then a desktop M1 Mac Mini. So with the M1X, we would get 2 Pro laptops, the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro, and a souped-up desktop option with the M1X Mac Mini. Which is why I also don't think we will see any M1X iMacs at this event, as we really haven't heard rumors about the bigger 30-inch redesign, and most rumors of an M1X iMac have a time frame of coming out sometime in the first or second quarter of 2022. So I personally don't expect to see the M1X iMac at this event, but hopefully we'll see it sometime around March of 2022, which is when we saw the M1 iMac. So that would also match up nicely with the previous M1 release cycle. As for when we can watch this event, don't forget it's going to actually be on Monday this time, October 18th, with a live stream at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can watch that over here on YouTube or go to Apple's website. But yeah, Apple's October event is finally official, and I'm so excited to finally see how these products will be unveiled and how powerful that M1X chip will be. But let me know in the comments below, are you excited for Apple's October event? Are you planning on picking up any of the rumored M1X Macs? And what are you looking forward to the most? Also, if you like this video, be sure to give me a like. If you want to see more, again, help me get to 200,000 and make sure you're subscribed. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.